Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Gaffr video. I'm joined by Kyle at Stoke Gaffr again, and we're going to preview game week 31 to 35, which is a double game week there at the end with game week 35. So same format as last time. So Kyle's going to run us through some key fixtures, some key matchups in those fixtures, and some of the key players from those fixtures, and then I'm going to take a look at on a higher level a couple of teams that are in good form, and what I'm thinking about doing with the Tony situation, how I might use that spot, not having Tony in my team for a few weeks at least. So hello Kyle, thanks for coming back.
Hi Martin.
Yeah, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good, thanks. New boosts, new set of
yes, new boosts as well to touch on.
Yeah, and the new set of the last block of fixtures now in the run-in for the season. So we've got 2 double game weeks coming up in the next 10 game weeks. As you can see from the confirmed fixtures from at FFL Championship, who updates the confirmed fixtures straight away. So we can see the double game weeks for Barnsley, Blackburn, Derby, Luton, QPR, Rotherham, Swansea and Wickham in game week 35. And I'm thinking of using the Jeepers Keepers boost for game week 35, as I think with those teams, I think everyone's going to have 3 Swansea, but from the other teams, we'll look into who the best third Swansea asset is later on in the video, as well as a quick look at Barnsley. And for me, QPR are in form, so they're another team to back. And they also double in game week 41, along with Bournemouth, Huddersfield, and Swansea. Or we expect them to double Swansea in 41 if I think their game with Sheffield Wednesday is confirmed that game week, but it could be another game week around that time. QPR are also double in 41 as well as 35, so they're a team to target. And Rotherham double in 35 and 41, although not in good form, and it doesn't look good for them, but they are the confirmed fixtures for the next 10 game weeks.
Excellent, good stuff. Always good to have a look at a screen like this, because the Gaffr site doesn't show it doesn't show the Blackburn double, does it, at the moment for 35?
No, so it's a big double game week game, but it doesn't show at the moment. I wanted to look at the fixture difficulty rating table in Gaffr, because it shows that Barnsley have good fixtures. They have Millwall in game week 33, QPR in game week 34, and Birmingham and Derby in the double game week. So they're a team to back and think about bringing assets in the next few game weeks. And then obviously there's the Blackburn double. They play Millwall away and Swansea at home. And Swansea play Middlesbrough at home and Blackburn away. So I'm sure many people have Blackburn and Swansea assets already in the team. Maybe 2 or 3 Blackburn, and Swansea. A third Swansea is probably just about essential. So we'll be looking. We'll be looking at the player to get in for your third asset, really. See how Swansea are playing form wise, and the underlying stats as we can see in the next slide. So yeah, in terms of the third Swansea asset that you might want to bring in, I think this is quite interesting to see the underlying data, the XG stats for Swansea, because I know Conor Hourihane has scored 3 goals in 4 games now since coming into the team, and he's in good form. And Jamal Lowe was in form as well, sort of halfway through the season. But Swansea have the 4th best XGA in the Championship and only the 15th best XG in the Championship. So yeah, there's a big difference in terms of their XG in comparison to the rest of the league. So for me, the way to go with your third Swansea asset going into double game week 35 might be to triple up in the defence as opposed to having Hourihane, Lowe or Ayew as your third asset. What do you think of that, Martin?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's sort of high risk, high reward, isn't it? With a triple defence, obviously, it only takes one moment and it's gone, isn't it? But so it's something I don't tend to do, but there's definitely merit. There's definitely merit in it with the underlying stats. Sort of Swansea's defensive record is incredible. I think only the Reading 106 team had a better defensive record than them at this stage of the season. I think that was true maybe a couple of weeks ago. I think Swansea are even going past that kind of trend now. But yeah, and again, interesting to see that Reading are kind of, another team up in the playoff places, and they're kind of in the same spot, aren't they? They're on both of these screens. So
yeah, so yes, Swansea are obviously doing very well this season and rightly in the playoff picture. And it's funny to be back in the defence after losing 4-1 in the last game week. But yeah, if you look at the underlying data, it suggests that Swansea's defence is far better than their attack. So yeah, and as well, 2 of their best attacking players are defenders. So I don't see it as 3 defenders. I see it more as 2 attacking players and a goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's true. That's
the added
true.
bonus of Bidwell and Roberts having clean sheet points.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a viable option. I do think Ayew is interesting as well, given that we'll come on to a little bit later.
So the other team to look at for game week 35 are Barnsley, who also have good defensive numbers with the double game week on the horizon. So they have the 2nd best XGA in the Championship, which means they concede the 2nd fewest expected goals against per game so far this season. And they've also faced the fewest shots of any team in the Championship. So yeah, but Barnsley's defence is well worth backing in the double game week. They have good fixtures as well in that double. So maybe Collins in goal and Britton, the right wing back, who is very attacking in their 3-4-3 system.
Yeah,
and so Barnsley's double game week is so good that I wanted to look into them in more detail and have a look at the lineup to see who the best assets might be.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they're definitely a shout for the double. I think we're far enough into the season now when it's maybe a little bit surprising that Barnsley are doing quite so well, but it's if you look at those XG numbers and just how far into the season we are, they're not fluking it, are they? They're a good team. Yeah, definitely worth a look.
So Barnsley's lineup is prone to rotation, particularly in the forward areas. So their front three often get rotated in terms of the lineup, and it's not uncommon for them for all three forwards to be subbed off at one time around the 60-minute mark, maybe even before the dreaded 60 minutes. So for me, I'm ignoring the likes of Woodrow and Chaplin and Carlton Morris, despite his goal scoring in the last 3 games, as he's scored 3 goals in 3 games and an assist on top of that. But I'm looking more at the Barnsley defence because of the numbers, the underlying data that we've just seen. And the system that they play means that Callum Britton gets forward from wing back. So he's priced at 4.6 in Gaffr, which is a very good price. And I'm also thinking of investing in Collins, the goalkeeper, who has recently come into the team. So yeah, Collins and Britton are on my radar. It's a shame that Callum Styles is listed as a midfielder in the game, or he'd also be another option to consider. But those two for me are the standout picks from Barnsley.
So despite the number 7 there, Britton is defender, right?
Yeah, so Britton is listed as a defender in Gaffr at 4.6. So yeah, great value there. And Collins is 3.9, the goalkeeper. So yeah, so some good options to look at before double game week 35, and they have 2 good fixtures leading up to that as well.
Yeah, that's really cheap, isn't it? So if you've got those 3 and maybe someone like Elise that's got good fixtures, who's obviously also a little bit underpriced, you've kind of got scope to do almost anything with the rest of your team.
Yeah, and I think with Tony being injured as well, managers might be thinking ahead to selling him, but also with the mindset of getting him back when he's back fit.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you're going to lose around 0.6 in value on Tony. So you need that value elsewhere in your team to be able to afford him back.
Yeah.
So Britton and Collins are likely going to save you money, as they'll both likely be downgrades for your 4.4s to 5.0 goalkeepers and defenders.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good thing to think about that. The Tony in, Tony out. Okay, so there's a few teams and individual players to think about for the doubles and fixtures coming up from Kyle. So what I've got here then, I thought we'd just have a quick look at Bristol City. So I think even casual players have probably noticed by now that Bristol City keep losing every week. They've lost 7 of their last 8. They sacked their manager this week. Just noted there, Bristol City, they've had a lot of injuries this season, but probably the key one, from my understanding, living in Bristol and speaking to Bristol City fans, is Andreas Weimann being out for the season. Really not good news for them, amongst a lot of other things that have been going on injury-wise for them. So you can see a handful of their sort of most recent results there. They've shipped 6 away at Watford. They've lost their last 2 home games to 0, or their last 3 home games to 0. Sorry. Yeah, I mean the Reading and Barnsley results there, 2-0. Obviously, myself as a Reading fan, I watched that game. It was a training session. We were so comfortable, and we're really not in great form at the moment. I was shocked at how sort of casual Bristol City were. Just no energy, no sort of urgency. no desire to sort of get back in the game once we went ahead. It could have been more if we'd been up for it, I think. And we did miss a couple of good chances. And I'm told that it was a similar story on Saturday. Despite the manager going, from what I've been told, it didn't really make too much difference at all. And again, you know, the nil for Bristol City was always going to happen, and it was just whether Barnsley, you know, put their foot on the throat really once they went ahead, which they didn't. I think there's definitely something in the locker for another big defeat for Bristol City, unless something changes pretty quickly. So their upcoming games then. Sorry, Carl.
Yeah, sorry, definitely a team to target. I saw a stat recently about Bristol City having an XG of less than 1 in the entire of the last 6 games combined. So yeah, from a defensive point of view, as well as an attacking point of view, they're a team to definitely target.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our opening goal was Lise whipped in a wide free kick from, it must have been a good 45 yards out. You know, it wasn't one of those free kicks that's as good as a corner. It was a fair way out. And yeah, the distance it travelled for Zhao to sort of lap onto it around the penalty spot was crazy. But yeah, so Bristol City definitely a team to target. So you can see their upcoming fixtures. They've got Borough away, Swansea away, Bournemouth at home, and QPR at home. So they are not easy fixtures. So we'll look in a second at what I think we might do about that. So from a team in terrible form to one in pretty good form, Nottingham Forest. So for me, this was a matter of time really before Chris Hughton started to get a tune out of Forest. We've seen him do it so many times. He's starting to get some shape into the team. He's got one of his favourite old buddies in and rocking in Glenn Murray. So that Knockhart Murray combination is something he's worked with before, and you can see in the win against Wycombe that dividends. But Murray, obviously, he's not as young as he used to be. He's not playing sort of every minute of every game, but he's definitely having a positive impact. And Forest look to be on their way up. You can see their upcoming fixtures. Rotherham away, pretty good. Derby away. Can't see there being too many goals in that game. Way that Derby have been going under Rooney, expect that to be probably 0-0, 1-0 either way. Wouldn't be a shock there. Luton at home. And then Watford away. So yeah, something to think about for Forest. I mean, I don't know, Kyle, have you got any Forest players in your team? Have you got other priorities, or is this just something to keep an eye on, do you think?
I think if it wasn't for the double game weeks, I'd be looking at getting a Forest defender, maybe Christie. But apart from that, probably not from Forest, purely because of the price, because they had such a good season last season. They came into this season with a good reputation, and they haven't lived up to that expectation of being a playoff contender. But they are turning the corner now under Hughton. So yeah, I mean, Knockhart and Murray could become options. We were talking in the last video about Chair and Austin potentially becoming options down the line for QPR, which they have become. And I think the same could happen with Forest. Maybe not straight away, but in 4 to 5 game weeks, we might be looking at Knockhart and Murray as being good options in Gaffr.
Yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. And I think if you maybe a bit similar to how we talked about QPR last time, whereas if you've got assets facing them, maybe it's a week to bench them or think about who you might bring in, because they're definitely on an upward turn. That's Forest in good form, and QPR. So I spoke about QPR last time, but I'm looking at them from a kind of different angle this time. Last time we looked at them, they had on the horizon a lot of the popular assets facing them. So obviously Bournemouth, people got a lot of Bournemouth assets. They played Brentford, Blackburn, so you've got Tony, Armstrong, Canos. Lots of popular picks from those teams, and we kind of said last time maybe this isn't quite as good a game as you might think it looks on paper, and maybe your armband goes elsewhere. So that kind of worked out, didn't it? I think Tony did score that one, Brentford, but certainly not Hall by any means. And then, yeah, obviously they shut Blackburn and Armstrong and co out. Watford only scored once against them, and so did Bournemouth. So that went kind of well from what we said last time. But I think you can look at it from another angle now, of rather than thinking about your assets that are playing against Queen Park Rangers, maybe you could bring someone in. So they've got some pretty good fixtures on the horizon: Preston away, Birmingham away, Barnsley home, and Bristol City away. Not too bad at all. And as you can see there, they've got 3 out of 4 away games, but they have scored in 79% of away games this season. So yeah, something to think about there. What do you think about that, Kyle?
I agree with what you're saying. We've gone from not wanting to captain players against QPR to actually thinking, well, they're in such good form that we can actually back QPR to get us points in Gaffr. So yeah, the options we were looking at last week have performed, particularly Austin has carried on his goal scoring form since coming to the club. I noticed he gets subbed off now and then because of his age. He's subbed off early in games, but he always starts. So he always has potential to score goals in games in the Championship, and his record would back up that he's a very good, prolific striker at this level. And the defence has continued to stop teams, and yeah, they've carried on where they were 4 game weeks ago. That they now look even better, and have continued winning games. 4 wins in a row now against difficult opposition. You know, they couldn't have had much more difficult run of 4 games, but they've won all 4 against all odds. So will that continue? With the form that they're in, the way they're playing, you would think yes.
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. As well as that, the fixtures coming up are very favourable. Apart from maybe the Barnsley game, you'd expect them to win 3 of the next 4. So
yeah, that could definitely happen.
Austin,
yeah. Austin, definitely a good shout, and I do like there's so many more defensive options at the moment, but the Kane option as well. That we're spoiled for choice for kind of wing backs at the moment. I think he's another one of them. So finally, then, bearing some of that in mind, I'm thinking about, okay, what am I going to do with no Ivan Toney? So I think there's a couple of ways you can play this. Obviously, we've got our sort of strikers that are sort of away in front in terms of point scoring. So we've got Zhao, Moore, Armstrong, Solanke when he's fit, Deeney when he's has played games that scored really well. So one option is just to say, well, okay, so it was kind of 3 into 5 anyway, so now it's 4 into 5. Now it's 3 into 4. I know you know what I'm trying to say. Just got one less option out of those top 5, or can we use the spot to maybe get some differential points? Getting towards the end of the season, might need to make up some ground. So what might we do there? So I think for game week 32 coming up, you could maybe use the spot to have Ashley Fletcher. So we've just spoken about the terrible run that Bristol City are on. Fletcher scored 2 in his last 2 games, and he is home to Bristol City in the next set of games. So maybe he's a decent 1-week punt. In game week 33, again, you could target Bristol City and look at perhaps Andre Ayew. And the thing with doing that is you could then maybe just keep Ayew in for the double. You've done a bit of early work for the double game week. Or I think the other possible option for game week 33 could be Corley Woodrow. Although you mentioned earlier, Kyle, about him being stopped off earlier a fair bit. I did think Ayew's fixture is probably a bit better anyway, so I'd definitely be leaning towards Ayew over Woodrow now. And then game week 34, you've got Pedro Ordini will be at home to Wickham. That's something I probably wouldn't ignore. And then you've got the double game week in game week 35, where say you might already have Ayew in your team if you get him in for 33. Blackburn, Derby, and Barnsley we've just spoken about as well. I've got a double. So I kind of like this Tony situation because I do like to try and use my transfers to just target a fixture if I possibly can. I mean, sometimes you have to think a little bit more strategically than that, but I do love a week where I can just use my transfer to target a fixture. So these are the kind of things that I'll be looking at with Tony being out.
Yeah, I mean they're all good differential options. They'll all be low owned in the game, and definitely going against the grain, which is for the top 4 strikers are all highly owned now. Armstrong, Zhao, Pukki, who's been transferred in by a lot of Tony sellers. And you've also got Austin as well coming onto the radar, and Kiefer Moore banging form. So yeah, there's 4 or 5 strikers there that might become highly owned. So it might be good to think outside of that in order to make gains if you're chasing. But yeah, for me, I mean, I'm just outside the top 100 overall, so I don't want to make too big of a risk replacing Tony. So I've played it safe and got Zhao back into my team. But yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of taking a 1-week punt on different forwards until Tony's back.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, yeah, it's easy. I'm sort of playing for fun now because the Winter League's finished. I think if they're doing a summer one, it hasn't started up yet, and I started late, so I'm kind of playing for fun a little bit. But as I said, I do like to just target a fixture if I can. I think I'll probably be going. As you said, Zhao has got some good fixtures coming up, so I'm hopeful that he'll get some goals in that. Although we're not in great form, that hopefully the fixtures can help us turn it. And I've got Kiefer Moore at the moment as well, but I think his fixtures do turn a little bit. And I haven't held Pukki over the last few weeks, so I think I'll probably do more to Pukki, keep Zhao, have Zhao Pukki, and then do something like this on the screen for a bit of fun. So I think that's what I'll be doing. Right. I think we're nearly at half an hour, Kyle. Is there anything else you want to bring up?
I want to talk a bit about how well our picks from the last video went.
Oh yeah. We haven't. Yeah, I did. We spoke before I hit record about maybe we can work some of that in. So we probably haven't too much, have we? So yeah, go on. You go first then.
We were being too humble. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Pukki's hit the ground running ever since we tipped him to do well. We highlighted the 3 fixtures after the Swansea game has been good fixtures for Pukki, and he's scored 4 goals and got himself an assist in that time. And he's been a good transfer for me, as I got him in. I should have got him in for the Stoke game against my own team, but held off until the game after. But he was still a good captain for me over the past 2 game weeks.
Yeah.
A goal and assist against Rotherham, and a goal at the weekend as well. So yeah, he's been good. And Kiefer Moore as well has carried on scoring goals. So ever since Mick McCarthy has come in, he's had a positive impact on Kiefer Moore, as we predicted. So that all went well.
I mean, yeah,
it'd be hard to keep up such a success rate with picks, but yeah, we'll take that.
I mean, we even said Callum Patterson looked good, and then he got a goal and an assist in the next 2 games. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday picked. What is that? But it came off.
Yeah, we're scrambling around for players that could do the business for us, but yeah, we did well in the last video, so we'll just live on that success.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll mention it every time now, no matter what. But yeah, I've definitely been enjoying Kiefer Moore. I think I captained him for the week that he got a brace. But then was that the same week that Tony got a load of points as well, though? So I thought I'd done really well, but then realised everybody had Captain Fantastic on Tony and getting like 100 points. I was like, okay, maybe I did well to keep up with the pack even without captaining Tony that week. But yeah, that's the way it goes. We don't have to worry about him doing that now.
No, and they're still good picks. So we were there ahead of the trend. So now people with Tony in the team are probably looking to get onto Moore and Pukki, but we're already there, so we can use our transfers elsewhere. Maybe on taking differential punts like you're doing, and for me getting back onto Zhao with 2 good fixtures coming up. So yeah, it's always good to plan ahead and think about the fixtures and how a player's form might turn. A player like Pukki and Moore as well are very explosive, and they're always capable of getting goal returns. So yeah, it's all about timing with players like that to get them in and out of your team at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so hopefully we've picked up on a few more things this time. Hopefully it's helpful. As I said last time, anybody that's listening, thank you for listening. Get in touch. If there's anything you particularly like us to talk about next time or anything like that, we could certainly consider it. But yeah, otherwise, thanks again, Kyle. And
thanks very much again. And it's been good chatting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look forward to the next 4 game weeks, and
let's see how we get
bring on the next few game weeks of chaos, and probably more double game weeks to talk about when we come to record after the next 4 game weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And who knows, Bristol City might have a new manager. Who knows what will be going on.
All changes very quickly.
It absolutely does. Okay, mate, I'll speak to you soon. Good luck with the next few weeks. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Martin.
Cheers.
Bye.